This is the Bed Bug Specialist podcast. This podcast is created to help educate the public and pest control professionals on bed bug news, facts, tools, and treatment methods. Follow, like, and share this podcast, and if you give us a 5-star review on iTunes, you'll be entered in a monthly drawing to win a gift valued at $50. Find us on iTunes and Stitcher, Google Music, Spotify, Podbean, and iHeartRadio. You can contact the show at 918-960-0829 or email us at podcast@TulsaBedBugSpecialist.com. Our Twitter is @TulsaBedBug. Our website, TulsaBedBugSpecialist.com. And you can also find this podcast on YouTube. Now, here's today's episode.
Okay, guys. Once again, this is Bed Bug Specialist podcast. Today we're going to talk about why your pest control service didn't work. What are some of the reasons why? I have an outline here. We're going to go over a few things. Now, this is for general pest control. So if you're dealing with, if you have your pest control guy that came out and depending on whatever he did, I mean, if he did, this usually doesn't apply to termites, but you know, if you had somebody come out to exterminate for spiders, roaches, bed bugs, usually any general pest, this list could apply of why it didn't work or why your expectations wasn't met. And it's usually, these are things usually out of the control of the pest control operator. So these are kind of things I run into all the time. It doesn't mean that that you should never use a pest control operator, but I mean, these are just kind of common sense things that people don't think of, but you probably should. It's things like anyway, there is different. I'm sorry, my mind is blanking on me. Like I said, things that are usually out of the control of the operator. But using a professional is definitely going to be better than you doing any kind of service. It's going to be safer. The liability is going to be on the company, not you. The safety. The pest control operator always thinks of safety first, and usually that's one reason why your service doesn't fail. Because if it's between you or the pest that gets killed, it's going to be the pest. So if it's between your safety or making sure the pest is dead, it's usually going to be your safety. And I know that everybody that picks up a bottle of pesticide from Home Depot doesn't think of that, but we think of that all the time. The safety of our customers, the safety of their kids, their pets. And so these are things we got to think of every time that, you know, whatever we're spraying or treating for at your home. So sorry guys if I'm still getting a little tongue-tied. I'm still new to this, but I'm working on it. So anyway, so here's a few things. So the first thing, I'll try to go through this list pretty quick. The first thing is going to be a dark house. I go into a lot of houses, and it'll be somebody that says, maybe a property manager will text me and say, hey, can you come knock this out, you know, real quick? And I'll like, yeah, you know, it will be quick and fast and easy. And I get to the house and the customer's telling me why, or the tenant's telling me, well, yeah, we're having this problem with bugs. They're out all the time. They're really bad. Well, sometimes, depending on the pest it is, you know, if they have 24 hours of darkness or even no light that's going to be a perfect environment for them to just reproduce or just hang out. If the pests, and usually a lot of pests are nocturnal, the ones we don't like, you know, like roaches, spiders, they're nocturnal. So, you know, no light, they're going to have a lot more activity. So even if you keep the home dim, they might not even know when it's nighttime. So thus they're always, you know, active or always moving around. So that's one thing you got to think of. So usually a pest control operator has lights or has a flashlight. I have a flashlight. I always have on me. But when I leave, I can treat appropriately and properly in certain areas. But when I leave, if that area is still dark, if you don't clean it out or whatever, um, if the pests don't die, that's still going to be a great area for them to go into. Or if that product dissipates, or if it's, if you call us every once a year, or call our pest control operator once a year, the first few months that area or those areas that are dark are going to be, the pests are going to die in those areas, but they're going to come right back um, if the, if it just remains dark. Another one is pets, and this is probably the top two or top three. Is we, as a pest control operator, we always have to look around to see if, all right, is this customer, and then of course we always ask over the phone when booking the appointment, are there any pets? So for certain pests, there's certain treatments we can't have the pest inside. But let's say you're just doing a general treatment for like spiders or roaches. You don't necessarily have to have the pest out, or you don't have to have the pet out of the home or out of the area. But if a pet, is curious, it's curious when you're there, if it's sniffing everywhere, you can't put that product in certain areas, a lot of certain areas, because you're thinking of the safety of the dog. Is he going to lick this up? Is he going to sniff this up? And um, there's different ways we can handle that. Like, maybe we use more traps in a home like that, maybe more monitoring devices, more um, different formulations that, and we'll treat different areas. But, let's say we go into a house that has 3 or 4 pets, and then they have cats. So I'm like, well, I can't treat up top because the cat jumps up top of all this furniture or refrigerators or appliances or whatever, and then I can't treat bottom because we got all these dogs sniffing and licking the floors whenever they see anything. So that's a pest control operator's nightmare, because they're like, all right, it's hard to control this pest. And of course, we have customers all the time saying, well, I don't put my dog out. I don't have a cage for my dog, and he's an inside dog. He's not an outside dog. So then we're like, well, I don't know, find a way. It's kind of like one of those things. Would you rather want your pet, you know, be uncomfortable for a little bit and have your pest gone, or do you want him to be comfortable and, uncomfortable and have your pest problem gone? So customers sometimes don't care, so they, you know, so anyway, that's another problem that can potentially, so it may be in, maybe it's not treated as well as it should be because, pets, um, situations. And I'm not saying that they won't do a good job or you won't get the problem handled, but these are potential situations. Like, you can't always look at the operator. Sometimes you have to look at yourself. In pest control, we always try to tell our clients that, this pest control is a team effort. Because pests are pests because they deal um, um, with people. So, we are the main factor of why we have pests. So it definitely has to be a team effort. Another problem is um, kids getting in the way. So if you have a toddler, I have 2 young children, so I always have to potentially think of them when I'm treating even my own house. So maybe I treat more outside. All right, sorry about that. But anyway, going back to the problem, we're talking about kids. Kids get in the way. So for instance, I was referring to my home. I have younger kids, so I don't want to. Um, so sorry again, guys. So another, like I say, the last reason was that I talked about was kids getting in the way. And so this might not necessarily mean kids in living in the home, but it might be kids are running all over the house as the pest control operator is working. And so this might just require treatment outside. That might be enough for your home. It might not, but so I a lot of the times for new customers, now we have instructions on our website. We have instructions that we always go over the customer with when we get on the phone, so when they book the appointment. But for some reason they um, assume that nothing has to be out of the way when we get there. So when the kids are kind of in the way, um, we, if the parent tells them, kids get out of the way, come in this room, and they don't, then it's kind of like, all right, well, we might avoid that room, or not get it as well because of the kids being in the way. Of course, as a pest control operator, I'm instructing people all the time. Of course, sometimes they don't listen to the instructions, so that's another thing. So definitely listen to your pest control operator. Another thing, a few more things, is not following instructions. And so not following pre or post instructions. So this is probably the number one um, follow up. I mean, definitely the number one when it comes to why your pest control service didn't work. So, for instance, as far as fleas, a post instruction we always give is after we treat the home, we require the customer vacuum the home every day for 5 to 7 days. That's going to get up any potential eggs. It's going to be potential, dead fleas, anything like that. So that can be a big one as far as following instructions. As far as bed bug treatments, we have a whole list of things, before we come, and it's not an extensive list, and it's usually not that much, you know, um, when it comes to preparing a home to be treated. But that's probably the biggest thing. Too much clutter in the home. If if the person is a hoarder, you know, yeah, we're definitely not going to be able to fix that problem depending on the pest, or it's going to cost a lot of time and money more than it should. So clutter being out is definitely, it's more places for the pest to hide, more pet where the pest can mate. So definitely that's going to be a problem. All right, guys. And so when it comes to clutter in the home, that's a big thing. And you can say the same for cleaning. I mean, cleaning's a big thing too. Usually for different, depending on the pest, that usually doesn't matter. Of course, it's a myth that being dirty is the reason people get bed bugs, and that's not true. So anyway, and another big one is store-bought products. So we get some people that will use us, a week or two will go by. They're like, oh, this service didn't work, so then they'll go buy some store-bought products um, and then spray over the product that we use, which in turn usually dilutes the product. So definitely be careful on that. Um, and and the same goes before we use the product. Some people will be like, oh, well, this will get me by until the pest control operator gets here. Well, you know, using some of those products can make the treatment that we use non-effective. It can dilute it, and it also can make it harder for us, and it also make it more expensive for you, for us to get rid of the problem for you. So definitely don't use any store-bought products. Get the opinion of a professional before using or buying anything for pest control. But anyway, so again, this is kind of general rules or general things that can happen, or why your pest control service didn't work. It might not be the pest control operator. So here are some things. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, give us a shout.